Are you a fan of The Sims? Have you ever wondered how the genius behind that breakout hit approaches game design and innovation? Keep watching, because today I'm going to share 5 game design tips direct from the mind of Sims creator Will Wright. And even better, these tips work just as well for designing products as they do for games. It all started last year when I got an unexpected call from an executive producer at Masterclass.com. His team was putting together a brand new course on game design featuring my longtime colleague and friend, Will Wright. I'd worked with Will on the original Sims game and several other projects. We had an easy rapport and a great working relationship. And that's why the Masterclass team wanted me to come on board and help bring that course to life by being the on-set interviewer. That sounded like a challenge I couldn't resist, so I cleared my schedule and I jumped at the opportunity. What followed was one of the most intense and magical weeks of my life, hanging out with Will and about 70 crew members on a soundstage in Pleasanton. For 3 12-hour days, I sat next to the camera operator, talking to Will, drawing him out, having an extended conversation about game design. Now, I've been in this field for 20 years, and my mind was blown by how much I learned on that set, listening to Will. So today, I'm going to share with you 5 game design tips from Will's Masterclass and give you a glimpse into the mind of how this brilliant, innovative game designer approaches his craft. Tip 1 on empowering players. Something I've always appreciated about Will's games is the recurring theme of empowering players. Think about it. The Sims, SimCity, Spore. All of these games are built to empower players to set and achieve their own goals. That's actually quite rare in game design and not that easy to pull off. So how does Will do it? Let's start with the basics. In game theory, there's 2 main branches, zero-sum and non-zero-sum. In zero-sum games, the players compete for a limited set of resources, and there are clear winners and losers. Chess, polo, and any head-to-head competition are great examples of zero-sum games. But that's not the only way to play. The other branch of game theory encompasses non-zero-sum or positive-sum games. These are games where my success does not take away from yours. We win together and we lose together. Similar to Minecraft, Will's games offer players a space where they can freely collaborate with friends or simply indulge in self-expression. For example, my daughter will spend hours building and tweaking her Sims, and if a friend comes over, they'll play together side by side or just talk about the game, collaborating together and sharing ideas. They love being immersed in this make-believe world. To apply this to your own work, think about how your game or product might look if you set aside all the zero-sum mechanics like leaderboards and instead looked for ways that your players could engage with each other. Tip 2 on early prototyping. Like all great game designers, Will understands that rapid prototyping is the central discipline of game design. He advocates for building prototypes as quickly and cheaply as possible, and always with a central question in mind. This is similar to the idea that an MVP, or minimum viable product, is a liquid, not a solid, as Steve Vassallo likes to say, with one important difference. Game designers put an emphasis on finding the fun through rapid, early, iterative prototyping and design and testing. For Will, prototyping and iterative design are tools that will help you discover which elements of your experience are engaging and fun, even if they might seem trivial or incidental at the time. The idea is to use those moments to guide you compass-like toward building a product that will resonate with your customers. This process is what game designers like the great Sid Meier call finding the fun. And this core idea of a prototype as a compass rather than a deliverable is useful for every product manager who wants to build a product customers will love. So to apply this to your own work, try thinking about your next MVP as a compass rather than a deliverable and see where that takes you. Tip 3 on player psychology. Something I learned from Will is that a robust game experience creates a micro-world in the player's head, a system of limitations and freedoms, goals and rewards, challenges and joys that we call the mental model. Will believes that game development is as much about programming the player's brain as it is programming the game itself. When we worked together, he'd often say, pay attention to the story that's unfolding between the player's ears. That really stuck with me because that story is based on the mental model of your game, app, or service. That's part of the reason that The Sims has become a timeless hit. This game offers players an understandable toy world that they can explore, experiment in, and then come to master. My 12-year-old daughter, the Sims player, will play for hours in that toy world, making things exactly how she wants them. And if anyone asks, she will proudly identify as a Sims player. And that's the most powerful form of retention you can build. So ask yourself, does my game or product have a compelling and coherent mental model that my customers can identify with? If not, you've got some work to do. Tip 4 on incentives and rewards. As a designer, your primary focus is to create a great player experience. And Will believes one of the best ways to achieve that is to use psychological incentives to motivate your players, rather than relying on material external rewards like coins and points. Here are 4 psychological incentives you can use. Discovery is a powerful internal incentive. Try offering your player a glimpse of what's coming, a glimpse of the larger world that they can get access to if they keep playing. Self-expression is equally powerful and underutilized. Try letting your players choose and customize important aspects of their experience. Designing a strategy and then watching it succeed or fail can also be a strong incentive. Will's games are delightful versions of this dynamic. And in Will's brilliant gaming mind, the most powerful incentive of all is players engaging with the rewards themselves. Will recommends that you notice the roles that naturally form in your game's community and tweak your design to support them. This will give you clues about the incentives and rewards that are most meaningful for them and give you insights that'll help you design incentive systems that keep them around for the long run. For example, if you notice that players like to collect certain items in your game, introduce a rarity structure to reward and encourage that behavior. Check out our Superfan community video linked at the end for instructions about how to do this effectively. Tip 5 on world building. As you know by now, Will's approach to creating games is all about building a coherent and compelling player experience. His games are comprised of layered systems that engage players creatively and lead to personalized, sometimes unexpected outcomes. In these types of games, players will often assume that the underlying system is smarter than it actually is. This happens because there's a strong mental model in place guiding the game design and enhancing the player's ability to imagine a coherent context that explains all the myriad details and dynamics happening within that game experience. Now let's apply this to your project. What mental model are you building? And what story are you causing to unfold between your players' ears? And how does the feature set in your game or product support that story? Once you start approaching your product design this way, you'll be set up to get your customers to buy into the micro world that you're building and start to imagine that it's richer and more detailed than it actually is. And there you have it, 5 tips to help you design better, more compelling games and products. Want more? Will's Masterclass is a goldmine of information and inspiration for game designers, product leaders, and anyone who wants to create a more compelling product. And we've prepared a cheat sheet to help you put the tips in this video into action. Go to gamethinking.io/gamedesign and download your free cheat sheet now. I'll see you next week, right here on Game Thinking TV.